One strike away. One strike away from a sweep. And it slips right through the Cardinals' fingers in extra innings. This one was tough. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor born and raised in the Lou and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Come on by, like, subscribe, and comment so you can interact with us and hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So close. So close. And no, we don't have to talk ourselves off the ledge here or anything. It's not that horrible. But you can taste it, right? You can taste it. Not champagne, obviously. It's not champagne worthy. You don't drink that after just simple sweeps. But perhaps a couple of tall, cool Budweisers. Something to kick back with and savor afterwards, whatever your drink of choice is. It was right there. Right there. And then, of course, a former Cardinal fan favorite. Had to go and ruin everything. Damn you, Harrison Bader. You are dead to us. I kid. We will always love Harrison Bader, but we don't have to be pleased with him at this very moment. Pitchers duel in Queens today between Lance Lynn and another former Cardinal and Jose Quintana, who I would also say is dead to us after today's performance, but he had a tough year health-wise last year, so I'm not going to be as hard on him as I will be on Harrison Bader, because Bader could suck it right now, right? Him and his stupid short hair, which I still hate. He looked a lot cooler with the flow going. Anyways, this is not a barbershop podcast. It's a baseball podcast. And after taking the first two games of the series on Friday and Saturday, they score 4 in Friday's game. They score 7 on Saturday. The Cardinals bats, they got silenced by Quintana and the Mets bullpen today. Just one of those ugly days where the team just could not get anything going. Just wasn't able to step up when they did get guys on. When runners were in scoring position, they didn't hit. They were 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position on Sunday, and the only 2 runs they did get were on a squeeze bunt, which done beautifully, by the way, by Michael Ciani and Mason Wynn. I made the crack on Twitter today that why doesn't Michael Ciani, who seems like he bunts all the time anyway, why doesn't he just bunt all the time? Like, why are we even swinging the bat? He doesn't really put it in play all that often. And when he does, he usually grounds out to the first baseman. But when he bunts, cool things seem to happen. At least his legs give him a chance to get on base. But that was well done by him and Mason Wynn. That was gorgeous. And then the only other run they got was because they got a free runner at second base in the 11th inning on an RBI single by Brendan Donovan. And that was Michael Ciani scoring again, who got a bad jump on that play. And Donovan had to get in a rundown to make sure that he could score because it was a line drive. And I don't think Ciani was quite sure if it was going to be caught or not. So he got a bad jump, and he might have gotten thrown out at home plate if Donovan hadn't kept going around to second base. He might have got gunned. That was it, man. We've thrown the stats at you all year where when the Cardinals score 4 more runs, pretty darn good baseball team. And when they don't, they lose a lot. Today, the offense, the culprit in this 4-2 loss. And, you know, it happens. The saying is good pitching beats good hitting, right? Like, we just make that up and start saying it for the fun of it. It's true. Some of the best lineups in baseball can get shut down as long as you have a really good pitcher out there. Jose Quintana was really, really good today. 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Did all of that on 99 pitches. He was efficient. He was in the zone. Like, he would look like the Jose Quintana that used to be in a Cardinals uniform. Still a bummer they weren't able to keep him for whatever reason. But that's your player of the game right there. That's your player of the game. Lance Lynn, he was solid again today too. Not taking anything away from him. Gives you 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 1 dinger, 87 pitches. Got in a little trouble there in the 6th inning and needed the bullpen to come in and rescue him. And a credit to the Cardinals bullpen in Sunday's game after using. And I don't know what we want to do as far as a nickname for these guys. You know, you hear the big 3. You hear, like, I went through some names that have to do with the number 3. You've got the trio. You've got the triad. You've got the Trinity. The 3 amigos. Which one do you guys like? Let me know in the comments section, because I don't know what you guys want to call them. But no JoJo, no Kittredge, no Helsley today. So instead, you saw other members of the Cardinals bullpen: Giovanni Gallegos, Ryan Fernandez, Matthew Liberatore. And as a group, they tossed 5 shutout innings against the Mets, who didn't finally break through until the 11th inning, Liberatore's 3rd inning of work. Gio had some hairy moments because that's what Gio does. It just makes you really appreciate when Andrew Kittredge comes into games, right? I mean, it's got to. High leverage situations, Kittredge comes in and does incredible stuff. And for years, we've been living on this Giovanni Gallegos roller coaster. And oh my gosh, gives you an ulcer watching him out there. It just never seems like it's easy with him, hardly ever. But he did get out of some jams today. Ryan Fernandez was awesome. Continues to look more and more comfortable, like he definitely belongs in the major leagues. So solid choice there by the front office. And then Matthew Liberatore, he was really good until the 11th inning. He was still really good in the 11th inning, except for 2 pitches. Cardinals are 1 strike away from the sweep. And Liberatore misses up and over the plate to Harrison Bader, who laces an RBI single into center field to tie the game up. And then almost the exact same pitch in the exact same spot with 2 strikes to Vientos. Crushes it, lands over the wall in center field despite the great effort from Michael Ciani. Cardinals lose it 4-2. Libby told our buddy Jeff Jones after the game that the pitch to Bader was a missed spot. Duh. Said the 0-1 was the same pitch, but a couple inches higher, and Bader had fouled it off. So the thinking was that was going to be the chase location that he wanted, but it came down into the zone and was a hit. Same situation with Vientos. Wanted the fastball up, away, out of the zone, and instead it was a little too close to the corner, and he was able to extend through it, knocks it over the wall. It's easy to say now, looking back at it, why aren't you throwing breaking balls to Harrison Bader, who we've seen go fishing plenty of times when he was a St. Louis Cardinal and swing at stuff and miss it down in the dirt? But it happened. Cardinals will move on from it, right? It's not end of the world stuff. They take 2 of 3. They go 4-2 this week after a rough sweep by the Milwaukee Brewers last weekend. That's progress, which is what we're looking for, right? We're looking for progress. We're trying to get better each and every day. It isn't always going to end up a W, but you were there. You were 1 strike away from a sweep. So look at it that way, and it doesn't feel quite as, awful as it did when the ball sailed over the wall. So we're going to sound off next. Questions and comments from the listeners, including their thoughts on Mo, Oli, and the Jordan Walker demotion. That's next on Locked On Cardinals. This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Does she like to read at night? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte, a coffee drinker? Get her a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. Can't go wrong. My mom is a diehard Cardinal baseball fan, so usually I try to get her tickets to a game or something, or you can get her gift cards that she could use at like the Cardinals Pro Shop or something through DoorDash. You can do it that way. Plus, you get the convenience of shopping on your phone, so you don't have to be the one scrambling and driving around to whatever store is still open. They will have maybe something that your mom might happen to like. Trust me, you don't want to be there. So order now. Get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume because all of the shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports today. What are you waiting for? It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis. You get opinions, you get news, and it's all available streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. And it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged, and it's something that I want to start bringing into the show a little bit more, especially on the weekends. I want to kind of have like these sound off Sundays where it's just kind of me going through your questions and comments, good or bad, evil or nice, whatever they may be. And just, I just want to gauge what the audience is talking about and keep you in the loop, in case you don't want to go through all the comments like I do. So I'm going to open up the floor to listener comments and just kind of see what everybody's chatting about today. We learned that there's no way to make everyone happy. So some people just want to watch the world burn. So maybe we'll get some angry ones here, which are always kind of fun. Let's see what we got. Let's start with this one. Robert Christ. Okay. Frequent commenter on YouTube on not only my channel, but other Cardinal podcast channels throughout the World Wide Web. Very passionate fan. He loves the Cardinals. And he commented on the John Mozeliak GM episode this week, listing his favorite and least favorite John Mozeliak moves. Here's what he said. Getting Arenado is my plus side since I love defense. The minus is firing Shildt because he wasn't a yes man. We have that now, and look where 2 years have taken us. He was also lucky enough to walk into what Walt Jocketty had already put together. The Nato trade. First, thank you, Robert, for always coming on, because I appreciate you. I know you get worked up in the comments section, and that's cool. I love the fact that you're super passionate. As long as nobody's getting mad at each other, keep it up. I don't have a problem with it at all. The Nato trade, highway robbery, right? I mean, we can admit that by now, yeah? Something that Walt Jocketty was pretty darn good at. You got to admit that. During his time as a GM, when talking about trades with my friends and people who just talk ball, like, it's hard to not look back in the Cardinals history and see names like Jim Edmonds, Mark McGwire, Matt Holliday, Edgar Renteria, Scott Rowland, and not giggle a little bit at ripping off these teams, the Angels, the A's, the Marlins, the Phillies, in those deals. Like, I mean, listen to those names right there. All of them eventually will be Cardinals Hall of Famers. Edgar Renteria not in yet. He deserves to be there. Everybody else, Cardinals Hall of Famers. Some of them, Major League Baseball Hall of Famers. Scott Rowland, we know he's in. I could make the argument for Jim Edmonds based on defense alone. McGwire, obviously, but the home runs, you can't deny that. Matt Holliday, one of the better right-handed hitters during his time in the big leagues. And you could put Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado trades in that grouping too. And of course, we've seen the bad ones too. We've seen the bad trades. Everybody makes them. We've talked about them plenty. No need to go down that path again. But Mo deserves a gold star for the Nolan Arenado trade for sure. So agree with you there. As far as the Mike Shildt firing, we've covered it plenty on the Locked On Cardinals podcast. It sucks for everyone. It sucks for everyone involved, except Oli, because Oli ended up getting a promotion and got the manager job. But it stinks because everybody liked Mike Shildt. It was never a personality issue. It wasn't that they don't like Mike Shildt. The Cardinals were winning, at least in the regular season. He didn't win anything in the playoffs, but it was just an unfortunate situation where he felt one way, they felt the other. They couldn't come to an agreement on how to run things. And in that type of situation, the people at the top are going to win. It just is the way it is. It's a bummer. But they both made their decisions, and Mike Shildt was like, well, I'm not going to change. So, and as far as walking into what Walt Jocketty built. I mean, yeah, but that is what an organization is supposed to do. Next man up, right? Like they're supposed to be able to transition seamlessly when one guy moves on, the other guy comes in, and you should have a good base of an organization set and ready to go so that when the new guy does step in, he's got something to build on. You know, the Cardinals haven't really had to rebuild in a really long while, and Mo still made some pretty good moves after he took over. It wasn't all just riding the coattails of what Walt Jocketty had already put in place. You know, he had to keep things rolling. Jim Edmonds for Freeze, that was a good deal. Remember, I know it sucked for us because we're like, oh no, we're trading Jim Edmonds, but kind of a shell of who he was when he was in his heyday with the Cardinals. And you end up getting David Freeze, who I think did a couple of important things for the Cardinals. The Matt Holliday deal, that was a Mozeliak thing. The trade with the Blue Jays to fix that bullpen back in 2011. He signed Lance Berkman, Carlos Beltran. So it hasn't all been bad. It's just that the crappy year last year and some of these recent trades that haven't worked out quite as well, they're fresh in our minds. They stand out a whole lot more. So that's why there's this negative feeling towards John Mozeliak right now. But if you go through the full body of work, you have to admit he did some good things. Okay, can we at least agree on that? He may not be your favorite guy, but you got to admit he has made some good moves in the past. I know it's been a while, but they did happen. On the Jordan Walker and Zach Thompson demotions, Bill Bays says, glad to see Walker and Thompson going to AAA. Hopefully Jordan will figure it out and start knocking down fences. I hope they don't bring him back too soon. As you said, he is only 21. Hopefully Thompson will be a good part of the starting rotation at AAA. He needs to have time to develop. I hope they have someone at AAA to help him with that development. Well, yeah, that's why you have the coaches and everything like that down there at Memphis too. And I was too. I was too. I was glad to see that they finally kind of, pulled the trigger on sitting both of them down. Not that I ever want people demoted or losing jobs or anything like that, but the major league hitters or pitchers, I should say, were just chewing Walker up and just spitting him out. Like he was having a hell of a time. And I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating to be so good at something your entire life. Like Jordan Walker's whole life, he's been better than everybody else at the game of baseball, and then he gets stuck in this rut that he finally can't get out of. And he's just kind of spinning his wheels at the major league level. It's got to be maddening for him because I think more about the mental side of things. Because physically, we know Jordan Walker is a very good baseball player, right? He's got everything. He's got power. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got an arm. He's great. But the mental side of it is what I worry about more when it comes to some of the younger players. It's got to be incredibly frustrating for him. Imagine that there's one thing in life that you do. Like think about yourself for a moment. One thing in life that you do better than anything else in your life, whether I don't know, going golfing, or whether it's cooking or art or working on cars, playing video games, whatever it is that you're like, I'm awesome at this. And then imagine that you suck at it all of a sudden. All of a sudden you're just like, I am terrible at this skill that I've been so good at my entire life. That can't be easy. And he's 21. He's still a kid, even though he looks like a 30-year-old man. He's 21 years old and has likely never seen failure playing the game of baseball like this ever. It's a lot for him, physically trying to figure out how to hit those pitches on the outside part of the plate, laying off the ones that are just outside of the zone and then having an ump ring you up anyway, 6 inches wide. And then you've got that going on with mentally everything I just described. It's not easy. And on top of that, you're trying to figure it all out at the major league level, going up against the best pitchers on planet Earth. So that's no picnic. It's not easy. So at least now at Memphis, he can probably relax a little bit, take a step back. They gave him a couple of days off from playing in games to just kind of, give him a soft reset. And hopefully he'll figure it all out and be back sooner rather than later and at the top of his game. As far as Thompson goes, the injuries to O'Brien, Middleton, Sonny Gray at the beginning of the year, these things kind of forced him to be on the roster in the first place. And then when Gray came back, he was kind of sitting in no man's land anyway. Remember, it was like 10 days in between appearances? Like, you're like, what the hell is he doing on the roster then? So I'm glad he's back in Memphis to get some regular work in. Again, I'll say this over to just pick a lane with Zach Thompson. You want him to be a starter, or you want him to be a reliever. All right, just pick a lane and let him go that way. GEI2Z has something to say on Oli Marmol. Says managers and coaches have one specific task: to have the player show his best ability and also feel a good vibe, as you said, to make this possible, which is, to me, equally, if not more important. I'm not trying to downplay the fact that players aren't performing, but I mean, it seems to me that it's quite remarkable how a lot of the guys we traded suddenly show a lot of progression. To me, that shows that something ain't right as far as the psychological side of being a Cards team member. I personally like the more emotional managers more. Oli looks so flat emotionally. I've been wrong before, though, and I might be here. Just my 2 cents. Thank you, GEI2Z. Hey, I appreciate your thoughts. Like, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. My thing as far as managers motivating people, I don't know how much that's really done at the major league level. You see it high school when you're molding young minds. You see that. I don't know how it's really handled in a major league clubhouse. I'm not somebody who's in the clubhouse, so I don't know these people personally. I don't know what it was like when Tony La Russa was here and in charge, or Mike Matheny or Shildt. I'm just not in there. I think something that probably, and you use the word flat, I think something that probably makes Oli an appealing manager to play for some people is that he doesn't fly off the handle all that often and seems to have a pretty good relationship with the guys for the most part, enough to which they were all sticking up for him in front of the media, in front of cameras and microphones last year when things were as ugly as they've been in St. Louis in a really long time. They constantly said it's not the coaching staff. It's not Oli. This is not on them. Those were things they were saying, the leaders on your team. Not every player is going to respond all that well to every manager. Some don't respond well to relaxed managers, while other players probably like playing for a more expressive manager. Tony La Russa is one of the greatest managers in the history of Major League Baseball, and he had issues with guys all the time. Remember, young guy Colby Rasmus was going to be the future. That didn't work out. Bad relationship between the two. Ended up trading him away, which ended up working out for the Cardinals. Scott Rowland. We ran Scott Rowland out of town because of his relationship with Tony La Russa. Nobody's perfect. But I continue to go back to how the players backed him up last year as a reason why they don't seem to have any issues with how Oli runs his clubhouse. So, and some of the guys that you mentioned, that are going on to other places, some of them are just finally getting more playing time. It's not like we saw a whole lot of Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena, Lane Thomas at the big league level in a Cardinal uniform. You saw them in brief little pieces here and there, but the Cardinals at those times had chosen other players to be their starters and were sticking with them. Guys like Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader, Lars Nootbaar. O'Neill, he just couldn't stay healthy. You saw the 1 year where he was healthy an entire year, and you saw what he did in a Cardinals uniform. That was his issue in St. Louis. I firmly believe that they've gotten by that. Like, I think Tyler O'Neill and Oli, and I think they moved past what happened last year. And it was just time for a fresh start for him in a different city. The Cardinals were like, look, we've got other guys that we can go with and we can, plug in each and every day. And, we're ready to roll with them. We'll send you somewhere else. And he's had a great start in Boston, but he's also gotten hurt already once. So it continues to plague him. He missed some time. It's a freak accident where he ran into his other player going for a ball. Sandy Alcantara and Zach Gallen, guys that people bring up all the time. They were good prospects with the Cardinals. There wasn't anything wrong with them while with the Cardinals organization that they were like, get them out of here. They stink. No, they just made a trade. Hicks never got a full shot at being a starter, excelling in San Francisco right now, but was a pretty darn good reliever with the Cardinals too. They wanted him back. He decided to go elsewhere. So I don't think the reason why these guys are succeeding in other places is a motivational issue by the manager. It seems more like just bad decision making by the front office by letting those people go and choosing the guys that they kept around. That's how it looks to me, but that's just me. I wanted to speak of taking a look around. Let's take a look around the league and see what's going on in the division and the rest of the league. Things are getting interesting out there. And can it get any worse for Skip Schumacher and the Marlins? You hate to see Skippy and the boys failing in the fish down there, and they're having a hard time. We'll get into it next on Locked On Cardinals. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Hopefully you've been watching. The NBA playoffs have been a lot of fun. Stanley Cup playoffs. Honestly, is there a better thing as far as professional sports? Like, are the Stanley Cup playoffs the best? In my opinion, they are. I love the game of baseball. I love playoff football and stuff, but a best of 7 series all the way through. Guys just kicking each other in the teeth. Guys don't have teeth. Like, what a great sport. I love it. Baseball's in full swing, obviously, as well. FanDuel is your place to bet on all of these things. NBA, NHL, baseball. You want to bet on golf, you can do that there too. WNBA coming up right around the corner, right? Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, whether you win, yay, or whether you lose. Boo. But you still get the $150. And like I said, you can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks. You could have bet on NFL draft stuff. That stuff's out there as well, although the draft's all said and done now. But just a ton of things to go through and have fun with on the app, which is, by the way, very safe, very secure, easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel.com/lockedon, and we'll get you taken care of there with the $150 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it is also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. You can find it now available on the free Fire TV channels app. One thing that makes this extra inning loss against the Mets today sting a little bit more, besides missing out on your very first sweep of the season, that would have been nice to have. But it's the fact that the Reds lost. Brewers got their butts kicked again. I know coming when I was starting this that the Pirates were losing. Let's do a double check and see how they finished. Pirates, Giants. Giants win it 3-2. So you got all these guys that you're looking up to. The Cubs are going to play tonight for Sunday Night Baseball, but these guys that you're trying to catch in your division, which, it's pretty tight, but they all lost today. And you were one strike away from gaining a game on all of them. And to see it go down the way it did, that's a kick in the nards a little more. Pretty tough. But Cubs, like I said, Sunday night game, they got blasted by Boston yesterday, 17-0. Brewers took it on the chin twice the last 2 days from the Yankees. Cardinals are 13-15. All right, nothing great about that. But I think a lot of us coming into this season, we knew April was going to be a difficult month. And if you could get to that 500 mark after April, things do loosen up and get a little easier for the Cardinals. So we're hoping that they improve on that. But, if we think we got it bad in St. Louis, I mean, look at some of these other places like the Marlins. They blew a 7-0 lead today against the Washington Nationals and lost 12-9. They're now 6-23 on the season. They've lost 6 in a row. This was a team that went to the playoffs last year. Yeah, Sandy Alcantara, he's out. Tommy John this year. But other teams have lost their top pitchers too and aren't having the fall off that the Marlins are having. And I know they're dealing with, pitching issues altogether. A lot of guys are hurt, but still, it's lost 6 in a row. Longest current losing streak in Major League Baseball. Like, it is ugly in Miami right now. The White Sox and the Rockies, we kind of figured they were going to have some tough seasons this year, although the Sox, of course, because the Cardinals are getting ready to play them here real soon, starting to go on a little heater. They just swept the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend. But how about the Houston Astros? The Astros so far coming into today, 8-19. Did they win today? They were winning last time I saw. Let's see, where is Houston at? Yeah, Houston beats Colorado 8-2, so that bumps their win-loss record. That one goes up a little bit, so they are now 9-19 on the season. Not like it's great. They've had some injuries to their rotation too, but still pretty shocking to see them down as bad as they are. On the other side of things, you've got some teams that are soaring. The Braves, we knew the Braves were going to be a good team. They're 19-7, which doesn't surprise anybody, but they've lost their ace Spencer Strider for the year. And he's gone, and they haven't hardly missed a beat. The Guardians in Cleveland, no Shane Bieber. He's gone for the year. No problem. They're 19-9. They lost their manager last year. He's no longer there, and they're 19-9. How about the Cardinals' next opponent, the Detroit Tigers, 16-12? I didn't see that coming. Not at all. And they haven't, unless something changed recently. They've been doing it all without Spencer Torkelson, who I had taken in fantasy baseball as my first baseman, and he sucked. Did nothing. I don't even know if he's got a home run yet this year. I haven't paid attention. After I cut him, I picked up Mountcastle from the Orioles, and I haven't looked back. I'm like, no, I'm sticking with a first baseman who's on a really good team in Baltimore. How about a stat attack? Let's go through some of these stats. Mike Trout, 10 home runs this year, 13 RBIs. Are you kidding me? 10 home runs, only 13 RBIs. 10 of his RBIs are himself. I know a team that's got an offensive hole in center field right now. If he wants out. Similar colors, red, white, wear some grays and red on the road. Look pretty good in him already, Mike Trout. Think about it. Closer to your hometown, which is over on the East Coast. So, just saying. Former Cardinal Marcell Ozuna. He's hitting .340 with 9 dingers and a league-leading 31 RBIs. Where was that dude in St. Louis? Where was the guy from last year with the 40 home runs and 100 ribbies at when he was in St. Louis? He was okay with the Cardinals, but what? Look at this production. Cubs got 17 wins going into tonight's game. Shota Imanaga, 4-0, ERA of 0.98. If you guys know Andrew Wang from the Newt News podcast or whatever they're calling themselves right now, he was big negatives on Shota. So if you guys want to hit him up on Twitter and be like, thoughts on Shota Imanaga? He probably would enjoy that, a little ribbing for it, because he's been crazy good. So much for having a slow transition to playing in the United States for him. Your league leaders in wins right now, 5 is the total. Tyler Glasnow, who, we talked about it. We tried to get the Cardinals, go get him. Ended up going to the Dodgers, which is where he wanted to go. Ranger Suarez is in Philly. He's got 5, had a great start to the season. And then you got 2 relievers, A.J. Minter in Atlanta, and then Reed Garrett for the Mets, who I believe he was the guy who picked up the win today over the Cardinals in their extra inning comeback win. So he's got 5. I give the Cardinals a hard time about giving up home runs because they give up a lot of them. 2 more today. That's 33 on the year, 6th highest amount in the league. Number 1 is the White Sox at 41. So maybe later this week when they play the Chicago White Sox, maybe the Cardinals will show, flex their muscles a little bit, pop a few out. Then you got the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Padres. Now the Padres have the 2 top home runs against pitchers in baseball right now. Did I say that wrong? Top 2 home runs against pitchers in baseball right now. Michael King, who was a big piece of that Juan Soto deal to send him to the Yankees, has been taken yard 10 times already this year. Joe Musgrove, 9 times. Michael King also leads the league in walks with 21. So that deal, not quite working out for the Padres the way they'd hoped so far. He does have 40 Ks, which is top 10 in the league, but those other numbers. Last one. We got a little time here. Last one. Highest batting average against in the league. So a starting pitcher, highest batting average against in the league right now. 353 is what the league is hitting off of Patrick Corbin for the Washington Nationals. He is 0-3 with an ERA of 6.82. He is making $35 million this year. League's hitting 353 against him. He's making $35 million this year. Kind of makes the Michaelis, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn money doesn't quite look so bad when you put it in the terms of what the Nats are paying that dude. But wow. Not good. All right, we got to wrap it up. Tigers on Monday night in Detroit. We'll talk more about that series beginning on Monday. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter, X, at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. 9,650 subscribers. We're trying to get to 10,000. And if you're one of those people that comes by and checks out, likes what you hear each and every day on the podcast, appreciate you. Would appreciate it if you went, liked, and subscribed on our YouTube channel as well to help our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.